Y'all want to play some D&D?
I probably started doing tabletop play in maybe 7th grade or 8th grade.
We'd get to our friend's house at around 10, 11 in the morning and play till 4 or 5 p.m. with a break for lunch in the middle.
My sister wrote a custom one-shot and she set it in Candyland, so I created a character that is literally the gingerbread man from Shrek. DreamWorks, please don't sue me.
Dungeons & Dragons, which turned 50 in 2024, has seen an explosion in popularity over the last 10 years. A game that was considered nerd niche for years is now the basis for both the Netflix mega hit Stranger Things and the best-selling video game Baldur's Gate 3, which has grossed an estimated $1.7 billion on PC gaming platform Steam. D&D's publisher, Wizards of the Coast, estimates that since the game premiered in 1974, 85 million people worldwide have played it.
If you would have told me that number when I was younger, I would have laughed, honestly. My mind would have been blown.
It's helped the company bring in over $1 billion in yearly revenue since 2021. And it's not just Wizards that's profiting. Independent game publishers, curiosity shops, streaming role-playing shows, and even an off-Broadway production are all thriving in the D&D renaissance. So how did the game you played in your nerdy friend's basement become a multi-million-dollar phenomenon?
Hey, welcome to Last Place on Earth. Come on in.
Whitney Wolfe is the owner of Last Place on Earth, a Brooklyn game shop that has brought in nearly $110,000 in 2024 from hosting D&D nights. Wolfe opened the store in 2020, right before the pandemic hit.
I unfortunately opened up the day before lockdown, and it was quite a turn of events.
The turning point came in 2022 when her employee, Jeffrey Robb, suggested holding D&D nights.
This store reminded me kind of like sitting around a campfire with friends, telling stories, and D&D, that's what D&D is all about.
Last Place now hosts 20 D&D games a week.
The percentage that D&D takes up here is about 50% in revenue. So Dungeons & Dragons has really saved the business. Just seeing how slowly but surely people started coming through, that's when I realized, oh, people are committed to this place. They want to keep coming back. There's a guarantee that the store will be stable itself.
And the people coming in aren't just experienced role players. Market research firm Maya Research estimates that 54% of current D&D players are between 15 and 29 years old.
I assumed when we started that we would get just all experienced players, but we've found the opposite to be true, where most of the people who come in have never played D&D before.
It's not just brick and mortar shops that are feeling the D&D bump. Indie game publishers, specialty dice makers, and even D&D themed vacations have all benefited from the game's newfound popularity. The whole tabletop role-playing industry has experienced a 320% rise in value since 2016. D&D accounts for 56% of that market. So what happened? D&D's rise in popularity kicked off 10 years ago with the release of its 5th edition, which was designed to be more approachable for newcomers. Jess Lanzillo heads D&D's design and development.
The game system was designed around what we saw as an emergent desire in the community for more storytelling. Being able to create a space in which people could more freely express the kind of stories and worlds that they wanted to.
Over the last 5 years, Wizards of the Coast's yearly revenue has increased 54%, from $761 million in 2019 to $1.17 billion as of October 2024. While much of that growth can be attributed to Wizards' popular card game, Magic: The Gathering, D&D has contributed to it through book sales, its 19 million registered users on the D&D Beyond website, and the success of Baldur's Gate 3, which earned Wizards $90 million in royalties in the last half of 2023 alone. But many of D&D's new players aren't discovering the game through Wizards properties. Dr. Emily Friedman teaches about role-playing games at Auburn University.
D&D becomes part of popular culture at different points in its history, but never as massively as it has over the last decade. What really gives it legs is the intellectual property that's generated outside of the Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro ecosystem.
And one of the most successful outside properties is actual play, streaming shows and podcasts where players record and broadcast themselves playing D&D. The most well-known actual play show, Critical Role, premiered on Twitch in 2015.
It's on the front page of Twitch for months. It becomes extraordinarily popular, and it rises to become the most successful actual play of all. It's not the first, it's just the biggest.
A leak on Twitch revealed that between August 2019 and September 2021, Critical Role earned $9.6 million in tips and ad revenue. Its 2019 Kickstarter campaign to raise $750,000 for an animated TV pilot ended up raising over $11 million. That show, The Legend of Vox Machina, received its 4th season renewal on Amazon Prime in October 2024. And it's not just Critical Role that's making headlines.
Hello, one and all! Welcome to this week's episode of Dimension 20!
Dimension 20, an actual play show featuring comedians and improvisers, recently sold out New York's Madison Square Garden, an over 19,000-seat venue at an average ticket price of $119. Carlos Luna is Dimension 20's series producer.
We're talking in upwards of 17,000 people buying tickets that first day, which was completely overwhelming. We were so unprepared for it. I don't think anyone expected that type of reception.
Since premiering in 2018, Dimension 20 has aired 23 seasons on comedy streamer Dropout, many of them using the D&D system to play out stories in quirky fantasy kingdoms, New York City, outer space, and even a mashup of Game of Thrones and Candyland.
Murph, could you describe your character for us?
Yes, I am Sir Theobald Gumbar, Lord Commander of the Tart Guard, Sworn Knight of the Order of North Gumbia.
There are hundreds of thousands of people watching this show and enjoying it, both in real time and the back catalog. And it's also leading them to like other shows.
One of those shows is the podcast Worlds Beyond Number, which features several Dimension 20 performers. Taylor Moore is the creative director of the podcast's production company, Fortunate Horse.
I think actual play is an amazing business case. It's an amazing production model for creating independent, sustainable, meaningful careers for creatives who want to own and control their work.
Fortunate Horse's main revenue source is direct funding giant Patreon. With over 30,000 paid subscribers, each contributing $5 a month, Worlds Beyond Number is bringing in roughly $150,000 a month in direct funding. But what's drawing people to watch or listen to a bunch of strangers sitting around and playing a game?
There's two things going on at the table. There's the game and the story that the people are writing, but then there's almost like a meta show happening at the same time. And that's the personalities, the friendships, it's the relationships that these people have with each other at the table.
Taylor Moore says that friendship dynamics in actual play have helped fuel D&D's popularity.
Of course, actual play has had a hand in the explosion. How could it not? When you see like fun stories and like friends hanging out and enjoying each other's company and doing all these bits and having these characters, it looks fun. You want to do it.
One of the things that we know from survey data is that many people will check out an actual play in order to understand a system. Once they're in that ecosystem and they know the game, especially if it's Dungeons and Dragons, actual play operates a lot like sports do. You know the rules, so you know when a killer play has landed. So actual play is a really important instructional tool for all kinds of games.
D&D franchise head Jess Lanzillo agrees.
I don't think that the impact of actual plays can be overstated. This is a primary vector of entertainment at this point. This is a primary fandom.
It also points to how much the success of D&D depends on buy-in from the wider community.
D&D's surge in popularity is 100% the people. There will always be new spells and new places to go, new books that are coming out, new rules to play the game. But at its core, it is a game that needs community to thrive.
The community has an enormous amount of control over Dungeons and Dragons, in part because it's a game that only exists, only comes to life when it's played. You can play D&D without spending a dime. And so the value proposition that any owner of Dungeons and Dragons needs to contend with is, what are you adding to the game that makes players excited to invest in what you have to offer?
For Wizards of the Coast, the answer to that question is providing more digital online services and pivoting towards D&D video games.
It's about catering to a number of different ways to play, being increasingly digital and meeting people where they're at, giving them digital tools and services so that they can, play when maybe they aren't able to be together in person or that's not as convenient.
But if history is any judge, the people who play the game are already writing the future of D&D.
I listen to people playing D&D and other tabletop role-playing games 24 hours a day. It is my full-time job, and the number one thing I want to do when I'm off work, if I'm not hanging out with my wife and watching TV on the couch, I couldn't play chess, I couldn't play Monopoly this much, but it's about the people. You're hanging out with people. I'm never gonna get sick of that, ever.